Starting live, cool. Right, hey everyone, yo, it's your boy Seafoam Soldier, and
it's me, Bob. Again through the wonders of the internet. This time with just slightly more of a cold.
yay, Floppy Bob. My throat's still sore as well. Not that it's a competition, but I don't know what's wrong with me. I was on antibiotics. It's not gone yet.
But I mean, like, if this is going to be a competition, like, I mean, let's get this paracetamol going.
Oh, sorry.
Like, what's happening?
Sorry,
Grant, go.
Sorry, it was playing back on my other screen. I was hearing everything.
Okay.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying, let's get this paracetamol war ready. Like, you, me, some paracetamol. Sounds like an evening.
I'm into it, Bob. It's something we both need. Hey, person. I remember you from before. What was your name again? Someone's joined us already, which is really cool. So we're streaming at a really weird time. So thank you. Also, we don't have tons of time. Oh, Happy New Year as well. We don't have tons of time. We have 45 minutes. So there should be enough time to spill a full cup of tea, I'd say. And also, in my gym stuff, didn't have time to change. But I'm assuming that's all right. So, do you have anything you want to say generally about your life, Bob? Anything you want to announce?
No, I just love that you're kind of courting like different kind of sectors of the community. Just being like, yeah, this is the gym wear episode this time.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe next time we'll be like, oh, I just happen to have left on my harness.
Exactly. It's just like leather harness next episode. Look out, team. That's it. You know what? You see right through me, Bob. Don't expose my schemes.
Sorry.
It's all right. Okay, cool. So let's go for. I actually got quite a few notes this time. Because this episode, I was just saying to Bob before it started, things actually happened this episode, so I'm excited to go through it. Whereas last episode was a little bit. I feel like we were sort of like reaching for things to say, but we still made it last about 3 hours anyway, which I'm proud of. But this time we've got 45 minutes and a lot to say, so it should be good. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. So obviously we do what we normally do. So I sort of go through my notes, but obviously chime in if I miss anything, or if if you feel a different way, then let us know. So start us off with that weird, like one of her weird intro scene things with whatever it is. I don't know what do you even call them.
I don't really know, but I love them. Like they're little. They almost almost become like short films unto themselves, and that's what I love about them.
It's like a Benny Hill thing this episode, right?
Yeah. What I loved is one of the comments just underneath the video was saying about they referred to the thing with Meatball as being like a Scooby-Doo gag, and I was like, yes, that's exactly it. That's what I love about it. Like, it was so good to see Meatball back again.
Really? Did you like her?
I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't actually like her that much in her season, I have to admit. But for some reason, this totally worked for me. I was just like, okay, like Meatball is hilarious. And this whole thing, like the door, I did think the door gag went on a little bit too long.
I read that as well. I read that down as well.
But actually, the whole concept of that, I just thought was hilarious. I just absolutely loved that. Like you've got this show that's about to have like all this serious, like grungy, like underground performance art of drag and of horror and filth and gore, and then you've just got like a Scooby-Doo gag with Meatball like running between doors, being like with this like really delayed like and very kind of heavy-handed knifing kind of technique of like oh no, I missed, like I just everything about it was perfect.
That's something. It was quite sloppy, which I liked. So like in one of the scenes, like you see she opens the door and you see the Boulay brothers just like standing behind her, like ready to like. I mean, like when she leaves, then they start running, like they just come around the corner, but they were just standing behind her. Like it was quite sloppily done, which really added to it for me.
Yeah, I absolutely adored that. And I kind of feel like any misgivings I had from last episode and the fact that it was, a bit drawn out and a bit bloated in some ways, I thought was completely made up for by just that 2-minute sequence. I would happily just like, with all the controversy with like Wow Presents Plus, I would literally pay Wow Presents Plus just for access to that 1-2-minute clip, like again and again.
I'm glad you liked it so much. I agree. Like it was fun. Like they're always fun. I like them. I think, like I said, a previous episode, I think I started off with the sort of sequences, like a little bit like what is going on, but I've got into them. I'm excited for them now every episode. But I say because this episode there's so much drama, like it was going to be an intense episode. I was really excited. Like I was really like keen to get to the reunion, so I was enjoying it. But like I said, it went on a little bit too long for me, and it's just a bit like, oh, I can't wait to see like what's going to happen this episode. And also, we know we're going to, but what happened next with like the resurrection? Again, I thought it was really, really cool. We chat about it, but at the same time, I was like, I really want to hear what these bitches have to say, you know?
Yeah, I thought that's what was quite fun actually. Is with season 9, actually, the reunion I was a little bit excited for, but the reunion isn't normally one of my favorite parts of, at least of RuPaul's Drag Race.
You don't like conflict much, do you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just kind of for me sometimes feels a bit fabricated in the sense that sometimes it's like, and talk about your dead mother, and it's just a bit like, you know, it's it kind of it feels very like we need to create drama here.
In terms of Drag Race, that's more of a last episode with like the ball or whatever, like the big challenge. That's more of an on stage thing, whereas the reunion is more about the drama between the queens themselves.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess a lot of it's still kind of propped up. You know, there's still a lot of, oh, okay, so he said a really bitchy thing about you. What are you going to say? You know, it's a bit...
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, when
but it's still fun.
Yeah, but when I kept going about James at the beginning, it's like we've gone through this for like the last 5 episodes in quite a lot of detail. Like, we don't need it again. But then one of the Boulet brothers did cut him off, and it's like, I've had enough of this now. It's boring. So, yeah.
So that's actually one of my notes. Oh, sorry. I was going to say one of my notes was at first I was confused about what it was that Monique kept on apparently talking about. The Boulet brothers, like, we've heard enough of this, because I thought what they were talking about was fairly inconsequential. Like, they were kind of just like, oh, James and I are friends. Like, we don't want to hear about that. I'm like, did I miss something?
No, what happened was I actually went back again. Sorry, by the way, Greek guy, I remember your name is Cos, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, because what happened was I thought it was rude. I actually wrote it down. I watched it twice to make sure. Although it was time. So one of the Boulet brothers asked a question. So they finished talking. Like, they asked about the beef between James and Monique. Then Monique said her part and finished. And then one of the Boulet brothers asked another question. And then Monique literally cut him off to carry on speaking. I know what she was saying was fine, but it's a fact that you cut him off, which was super rude. So I'm all for the Boulet brother pulling Monique up on that. Yeah,
no, I'm glad that they were pulled up for the interruption thing. Especially, although I literally interrupted you to try and say that, so irony, or not quite irony. Anyway, but I did also wonder if there was something else going on. I saw a couple of comments underneath the video again, and they were saying things like, you know, had it been the case perhaps that Monique had been saying stuff and kind of keep, you know, because obviously it's edited, so like that Monique just literally kept on set, kept on trying to talk about something, and they were like, oh, for fuck's sake, shut up.
That's the thing. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, go for it.
I would say so. Monique, like, I mean, I've got quite a few notes about it, but I guess we can talk about it now. Like, she seemed out of it to me. Did she seem like that to you?
Yeah,
like, there was one. Go on.
Oh no, because during the show itself, I mean, we only got 2 episodes of Monique, and for both of those episodes, I mean, Monique's speaking style seems quite kind of slow and considered. Well, not that considered, but slow and kind of just, it comes out that kind of way. And I wondered at first if it was just, you know, we haven't seen enough of her normal style to understand, to know what she's normally like. But then it did seem by the end, especially, that she was out of it. Like, I got the feeling that she was, I mean, she was sipping a lot from that cup. So.
Yeah. Well, there was one point as well I noticed. Again, I went back to make sure I noticed it, but I don't know if you picked up on it, but Kendra was like making sure she's all right at one point. Like, Monique was like looking the other way and seemed out of it. And Kendra was sort of like tapping her arm, like, girl, like, you know, we're doing a show right now. Do you want to like get involved? Like, is that sort of vibe?
Right, because there are a few times where Monique just kind of like turned, especially because Monique was on the end of that very kind of Last Supper. Well, the episode was called Last Supper, but that was on the end of that kind of Last Supper table. And there were a few times when Monique just basically turned to the cameras a lot more, and I was a bit like, Monique, the people are there. I know you're on TV and there are cameras there, but also, like, you are here and there are like 14 other people down here. Or however many.
Trinity K. Bonet on the on the Scary Movie Challenge. You remember when she kept looking away and RuPaul had to come and like tell her to look at the... It was a bit like that.
I love that. I hadn't made that connection, but I love that now of Monique just being this very I mean, I can totally see that. But no, obviously Trinity K. Bonet does that with just a little bit less racism, or a lot less racism. But anyway, but no, I thought it was kind of interesting as a thing. I thought it was quite a strange kind of way of doing it. But I like that they were all given a chance to have looks before they came on.
Well, I was thinking that because like okay, so sorry. Let's go in order. Sorry, because it relates to
sorry,
like.
I'm jumping. Yeah.
No, it's my fault. It's my fault. So. Okay, so I wrote down that the Boulet brothers had 3 looks within 10 minutes. So had the initial look from the sketch. I don't think there's really much to say about that. Is there?
It was good, but yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily. It's a look to work for that thing. It's not particularly extra outrageous.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But their second look, the one during the ritual, I was in love with. The one with the long hair, like the straight long hair. I think that's the best they've ever looked. Like I know it's not too out there or anything, but I just loved it. I thought the makeup was great, the outfits were awesome, it was quite simple, but I just loved it. And I thought it was like really, like it went really well with the ritual, you know. Like it seemed like just like 2 cool witches who were like super fierce, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but like kind of gone down a very dark alley, and I'm so happy with that. Like you know, the 2 aunts or mothers or whatever their roles were in that. I'd like to think that's what they look like in 20 years' time. Yeah.
We should. I'll be here for a Sabrina the Teenage Witch revival. I love that show.
Can we actually? I haven't watched it in forever. Please
do that. Should we do? Oh my god, that'd be a really good thing to do for the channel. Hashtag content. We can watch the first episode together and then debrief about it afterwards and just see if it holds up. So I bet you it won't. I've got really good memories in my head, but I bet it'd be terrible if we watched it now.
Let's do it because it's going to be so like hammed up and everything, and like Salem will be even less like look that realistic at the time. Yeah, let's be honest, he didn't really look that much like a real cat at the time. So I'm really excited. Anyway, yes, I'm 100% behind this.
You saw that skit, right? It was years ago, and I think it was on funnyordie.com. It was where Melissa Joan Hart, Sabrina, she did like it's really funny. You've seen it where she thought she was still Sabrina in real life, and she's in a cafe and she's like trying to cast spells on people and stuff.
I have not seen this, but I need this in my life.
I'll link it to it. It's really funny. Sorry, right? We keep getting distracted. It's my fault. So yeah, what do you think? Yeah, so you like that look?
Yeah, and I thought the idea for the ritual itself was kind of funny because that's quite a nice. I mean, they didn't necessarily need to explain it, but I liked that they kept the link between them killing the girls during various episodes, and then having to be like, oh, okay, how do we solve a problem where we need them back again? Oh, we're going to revive them. You know, I thought that was really fun, and the way they did it was very cinematic. Actually, I thought it was quite clever that they. I think this is what's fun with them having budget. Finally, is that they are able to do these kinds of things and kind of live their full fantasy, I guess. And I'm really happy for that. It was really fun to watch.
It's like you know, it's similar to just making a connection now. Like in Drag Race, we know like Rue has spent half the episodes promoting her own products or whatever, and you sort of love it. Like it just works. I think it's the same with them. It's like you know, they know they've got budget, and that budget's going on them, and I'm here for it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And at the end of the ritual, did you see the whole thing with the if you can't hate yourself, how the hell are you going to hate somebody else?
She said that's so
I love
cool.
that. I did like that little nod because like. It's always quite funny because obviously they know that there's a massive crossover between the two, the 2 audiences, and I just love that they kind of acknowledged it in that sense.
And also that Dragula is sort of the antithesis of Drag Race as well in a lot of ways. But I like what she said. That's the thing. Like I don't know. I know it's supposed to be like a lame, campy thing and a piss take, tongue in cheek sort of thing. But the way she said it was so cool, and like the look she gave to the camera. I don't know. I really liked it a lot. Like too much, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I loved that. It was so good, and I don't think you're really meant to have favorites with the Boulet brothers, but I always do like the smaller one. Like I just always find her a little bit funnier.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know. I sort of flip between the 2, but when they came out with their third look just after the ritual, I didn't really like the look particularly, but I just loved the fact they had 3 looks in 10 minutes, and most of their looks I do like a lot. So I just written like I think the first season I didn't really particularly care about them that much, but definitely. But I know this episode, I think I've really liked them this season. As you've probably seen if anyone's watched the other 2 episodes we've done on this so far. But like, I just sort of clicked to me that like, yeah, I'm a big fan of the Boulet brothers. Like, I'm gonna even if I didn't do Dragula again, I'd still follow their careers, follow their looks, be excited to see what they do next. Like, I don't know. Like, I've just been super impressed with everything about them this season. Whereas the first season, I just didn't really care about them. You know.
Yeah, I think as well it was hard with the last season because we didn't really know them you know, we basically were meeting, for me at least, I wasn't familiar with them before. So my introduction to them was at the same time as all the other girls. And the girls are the ones who you kind of needed to watch because they didn't have names. Their names often weren't on screen with them, especially early on. So you kind of had to watch every girl really carefully to understand who they were. And obviously the show is in some ways more about them than the Boulets. And so, and obviously they were also talking over fridges and like the sound of like random radiators in the background. So
I think like frustrated because they were obviously the ones who produced the show and the production quality wasn't great. So I think that sort of made me like a bit like annoyed with them in a way for the first season.
Right, it definitely took something away from being able to fully appreciate them because they were always through some kind of other thing that you had to put to one side. So it's a lot easier now. I have a lot of time for them. They seem very interesting. And I kind of, very smart. I'm kind of intrigued to learn a little bit more about them. Yeah,
I agree. We should find out what they've done. Like if they've done anything that we can watch online, then maybe do an episode on that. Cool. What was I going to say? So yeah, I was really excited to see all the girls back again. And I was confused because they had like little intros. I'm like, I swear we've seen these looks before. And then I sort of like clocked halfway through. They were the deaf looks, weren't they, for the girls?
Oh, okay. I hadn't made that connection, but I think you're right. No, God, that is right. Because I remember spending most of it just being like, I mean, if it's okay to move on to the looks themselves. Yeah. Because I was going to say, like, when Erica's look came up, I was like, where has this been all season? Like, I really loved Erica's look, and I was like, come on. But I mean, at the same time, it was quite a strong showing from a few of them, at least.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think especially because I remember saying we chatted about it literally last episode, but Abora's look I loved as well because it was like the pink sort of makeup with the color splashes of paint, and it was just really different for her. I felt. But no, I liked all the looks, but it's a shame that they weren't brand new because we had seen them in the Exterminations previously. So it's I feel like I understand why, like thematically, it was the right thing to have done, but no, not necessarily. So you could revive them. We saw the death looks at the very beginning when they were lying on the floor. So we saw the looks again then. So it would have made sense for them to have been revived and then to have created new looks for the dinner. So it would have been cool to have seen that. But I understand why they didn't bother with it at the same time.
Yeah, but that's what I thought was quite fun for the top three, because obviously we then got a slightly different look for them.
I can't wait to talk about those looks. Yes, we do. Yeah, let's do that now.
Okay, super.
What do you think? So,
okay, so my notes of this have just been, I mean, literally next to bitch, I just wrote yes in capital letters.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Absolutely loved it. I just thought it was really quite interesting because it was slightly haunted and possessed, but at the same time just actually quite, but like fun and approachable. It was just, there was something kind of quite
like unsettling, like creepy as fuck. Like it's so different for her. Like I don't think she feminized her face much. It was just like her proportions were really weird, but in like a really cool, creepy, unique. Like I was really enjoying just watching her, which is one of my favorite things about drag.
And that was quite nice. Even like what was really funny, and obviously we'll come to it later with what they actually said, but during the thing when right near the end when she's crying, there's something really kind of fun and unsettling about it, because you've got this really beautifully created image and this kind of haunting, possessed image, and then just like bitch just being like, it says thank you guys so much. And you're like, I just love what's going on here. This is kind of hilarious. But so who were the other? So Victoria's Victoria's I really loved as well. I thought it was I didn't think it was necessarily anything new, but I thought it was just quite polished.
Yeah, I love the makeup, but because I think Victoria is, extremely skilled, and I do have a lot of respect for her. But I wasn't personally impressed with the like body paint she'd done on her chest. I just think it didn't like convey what it was trying to convey to me. Yeah,
I get that.
It was just a bit like a beauty look for me. But oh shit, like I'm sure it wasn't like this, but to me, like the way it looked was like, oh shit, like I need to make this a bit more weird and Dragula-esque for the reunion. Let's paint some shit on my chest. I'm sure it wasn't like that. That's a harsh like interpretation of it, but just looking at the look, like something like the face looks so beautiful and the outfit looked beautiful. I'm just a bit like, this is bringing it down for me, this area. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the thing though, at least with Victoria, like even when there's something a little bit off, the rest of it's so beautiful that it kind of just carries through. For me, I just thought it was nice. I just really liked it. What did you think about James? Because I'm a little bit undecided on this one.
Well, I felt like we have a similar opinion, to be honest. I thought it was cool, but I thought typical for James. Like I wasn't excited. Like it wasn't exciting in any way to me. It was a cool look. It's fine. What do you think?
I mean, there's something. I thought a lot of it was kind of basic, and I was a bit like, we've seen this shape before. But then at the same time, there's something I thought was quite fun and quite clever about it. In that I mean, even though there's a lot that's kind of androgynous about it in terms of, well, I don't know, there are some kind of James has kind of kept, for example, his kind of more boy kind of shape. But then what I thought was quite fun about that was then you've got these kind of quite feminine underwear in some ways, and then like a bulge.
Yeah.
Like
you love a bulge.
Of course. And then but then what I thought was really fun about it was that there was that little like metal chain or something on it, that little I don't know quite what it was, like a little charm at the end of a necklace kind of thing. And I thought that was quite a fun little addition, because it not only draws your eye down there a little bit more, but at first it appears to kind of hide the kind of bulge, and then actually what it really ends up doing is accentuating it. So I thought that was quite fun in terms of playing with gender. Well, yeah, of course. And I thought what was quite fun is that it kind of it was purposely there as a bit of a gender fuck kind of thing, and I kind of appreciated that.
Yeah,
but I thought the rest of it was a bit meh.
Yeah, I think like from what you were saying, like I suppose it's sort of like their best drag, right? Like they weren't like, none of them were really too obscure or too out there. They're all sort of like typical representations of them, but just done well. I felt like in terms of that, James nailed it. I feel like James's general aesthetic as well is very Mad Max-y. So
yeah. So
I think so. The fact that we saw that last episode, it's not surprising that the original this episode. And I was sort of thinking based on that as well, that I think Bitch has like a less defined like look, like a signature look, and I think that's why her look was the most unique out of the three, because she doesn't have a sort of like, if she said like, what bitch, this is your best, maybe they were told that like, wear your best drag look or whatever, best horror drag look. Like I don't, or something represents your horror drag. Like I don't know what that would be for Bitch. I think Bitch by far had the best look, but I don't think based on all her looks we've seen, they've all been so different. I don't really know like what her unique signature is.
That's a really good point, actually. I'd never thought about it that way, but you're absolutely right, because with James and Victoria, you get a really strong sense of their aesthetic. And I think sometimes for Bitch that's worked against her, but actually what's been really fun about particularly the last 3 or 4 episodes is Bitch has just been killing it in terms of like, here's this different look, here's a completely other thing that you didn't think I'd do. And you're like, oh, actually great. And for me, that's happening at the same time that I'm starting to find James's looks a bit predictable. So for me, that's really making me love Bitch even more and making me kind of a bit less impressed with James, even though I still think James is incredible. It's taking away some of that for me.
No, I completely agree with that. Should we move on from the looks?
Yes. So I think the next thing we got was like some of the audition tapes, didn't we? Which I thought was a really nice touch.
Yeah, so did I. I just wanted to say like about, because Bitch was one of the first ones, and she seemed, I know it's her personality, and I'm here for it. I like a chill bitch, but she just seemed like totally over it. She's like, oh hey, my name, whatever his boy name is, like, oh aka bitch pudding, like I like eating ass.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Is this a bit like
that's what I thought was so strange about it, because like it's just like you're applying for Dragula, and like whereas Abora's was like totally unhinged and like batshit. It was so funny having like both of them in the same show, having submitted those videotapes. Like, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, Bitch was kind of like, I'm going to sit on the sofa and tell you a bit about who Bitch Pudding is. Whereas Abora is like, I'm killing someone in the woods, and you're like, okay, Abora.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought that was really fun, actually. I'm guessing the rest of Bitch's one must have been great. I mean, there's probably a lot of other stuff that went on in it, but I know what you mean. I feel like that's a great chance to show who you are rather than telling.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, like it's something that relates to later on in the episodes. There's a conflict that the Boulets brought up, I think. But I can sort of, again, I think the way Bitch was treated the first episode still obviously was completely wrong and out of order. But I do get where some of the frustration was coming from. Like her attitude was a lot less like enthusiastic or involved in the other girls, and also her look was pretty terrible. Like it was a super basic non-horror look. So like, looking back, because sorry, skipping forward a little bit, but during that argument she's like, well, look who look who's at the top now or whatever. And like, yeah, you're right. Like I get it, it's a good comeback, but like I think it had good points. Like your outfit was shit at the beginning, your attitude wasn't great. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I'm really glad in hindsight that because at the time I was just like, that is pretty unfair. Like, come on, leave her be. But then I'm kind of glad that fire was lit under her, because this is what we've got as a result.
Exactly.
Although it shouldn't be taken as a moral of bully people so they become better. But
that's what I've taken it.
I mean, you do you. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, and I loved just like the oddness of all of these like videos. Like Disasterina's was basically just Disasterina going about her day. Like there was like, you get the feeling that like Disasterina didn't even really fully realize that the camera was on.
Really? I mean, there's a part where she was spanking herself.
Well, no, that's true. There is that. I mean, I'm kidding, but like Disasterina is kind of out there anyway. So I kind of loved that Disasterina's video was just like, bam, kind of in your face. This is like me. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Also, I noticed that I thought Disasterina looked a lot like Milk when she was like sitting at the table.
Ooh, I hadn't made that connection, but I think you're right. Yeah,
she's manly queen, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's. I mean, that kind of over the top, but also kind of very gender fucky kind of thing is kind of Disasterina's thing, which is partly why I love her.
Yeah.
But also, sorry, can I? This might be jumping a little bit, but while we're on Disasterina, can I just like comment about how funny it was that they had this whole kind of "it's okay to be straight" conversation?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was hilarious.
I was just like, this is so funny, because like at some point I was waiting for someone to just burst into laughter, but nobody did. I'm like, you're all being so serious. This is hilarious, because you're all just being like, oh my god, Disasterina, it must be so hard in this competition being straight. You're like, come on now. Like,
I know, it was really funny. But also, she's not straight anyway, right? She's heteroflexible, so she must she's like in that box solidly anyway. So
and I thought it was interesting because Erica was just like, okay, you may be straight, but you're queer. And I like that, this kind of, actually, there's something about Disasterina that still very much has a kind of queer sensibility or a kind of queer eye in some way, even if Disasterina's partners happen not to be same sex, for example.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, again, like it goes without saying, but who you're attracted to doesn't determine how you act and what you're drawn towards as a person. You know, so I guess that's sort of what they were talking about, but it was ridiculous at the same time. I agree.
I loved it.
I think Disasterina came across. I mean, I've always liked her, obviously, but I think she, like, her responses when she was asked things were really good this episode. Like, I don't know, I just really was interested by, like, I don't know, like I was into everything she was saying pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. Like, I think she's very good at just this kind of like, comes in, says her piece, and then kind of just sits back and is just hilarious. I mean, even if she doesn't say necessarily anything that funny, she's kind of like, yeah, well, you know, it's how life is, and then just like sits there like playing with her conical bra, and you're just like, okay, cool, you do you. Yeah.
She's like a wise older one. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about the audition tapes?
I just wrote down Abora glorious mess.
Yeah, I love the effect. Like, I know it's a bit like film school, but I like the effect she did, and like the horror film like Blair Witch, like B-side sort of. I was really into it. I loved it.
And I think for me, it kind of added something to, because what I've been struggling with a little bit with Abora is sometimes, like, I mean, as the Boulets did that time that she won and then also was up for elimination, in that sense of like, is your messiness on purpose, or is your messiness kind of an accident, and you're kind of struggling with your best, you're doing your best to kind of pull it back. And actually what I loved about that video is like, no, okay, Abora is like this kind of balls to the wall punk riot crazy thing that's so messy, and it kind of works most of the time. And I kind of love that. Like, Abora was just this unhinged feral animal, and I was living for it.
Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, I don't think they really showed much of the other audition tapes. Like, nothing was that amazing that I can remember from the other ones.
Yeah, I can't remember anything more. I didn't
Kendra
write down
in the bath at one point. I remember I was just a bit like, why is she in the bath?
Yeah, it's just like, oh look, I'm in a bath of blood. Spooky. I was a bit.
Oh, what's a bath of blood? Is that why?
Yeah. I just thought, I don't know. For me, it felt a bit too literal, but.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Okay, let's talk about the argument Kendra had Who was she having an argument? Oh, against her bandmates. Like she went fully in
with
that
herself,
argument.
with yeah.
Sorry?
I just wrote literally her argument was just so kind of like I literally my comment next to her, where is it? I literally just wrote Kendra argument. Ugh. Like, because it annoyed me so much, because I mean it did, you know, I could see how she would feel left out by all of that situation. Absolutely. How, you know, she was like, well, I was, well,
because
you know,
she said she had personal issues, and that was why.
Oh yeah, but I mean, in the sense that she was saying, "Oh, I only got, you know, I turned up to one of the two that I was invited to," and I was a bit like, okay, but I also I can see how that would feel annoying. That now they're saying, okay, where were you for the other auditions, and they maybe didn't tell her about them.
I think they did. I think that was bullshit.
I think they must have. And I mean, come on. Also, you're doing this kind of challenge. You would. I mean, fair enough. If she has personal problems, obviously that needs to take priority. You know. That's going to be a big thing in her life, and that is going to be disruptive. But the way she, you know, instead of kind of saying, look, I had personal problems, I own up to the fact that I wasn't there as much as I could have been. I hated the way that she was like, oh, well, all of you are shit. And like, we lost because you're shit. And also you're shit. And did I tell you that you guys are shit? And I was like, come on, Kendra, like, can you take at least a teeny bit of responsibility for how some of this might have played out? Because it wasn't like she killed that challenge. She was pretty boring from what I remember.
Yeah, she was terrible.
Yeah.
Her look was terrible.
So it's like, well, I mean, Kendra, you've only, I mean, in a competition like this, yeah, in a group challenge, as with group tasks at university or whatever, like you might want to blame other people, but you ultimately have to take some responsibility in some form. And it did annoy me that it was all pushed on her. Whereas I felt like the other three, like Bora said it well when she said, okay, look, let's kind of think about this clearly. We weren't in sync. We were a mess. We all said that we were going to try and do our own thing. It didn't gel. We failed. I thought that was really good and honest, and that's kind of what I feel Kendra should have been saying.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's what we all know as well from watching the episode. Like that's exactly what happened. But also, like you think about it, like literally, like she showed up to one audition and she's 6 hours late to that audition. Like that is a long time. Like you have no ground to stand on whatsoever if that's the case.
Yeah, if it was like, fair enough, if she had turned up 20 minutes late and everyone was like already in the middle of planning something and left her out, yeah, I'd be pissed. But like 6 hours, like you've got three teammates they're all in the same competition. They all desperately want to win, and you know this is an amazing opportunity for them. They don't want to fuck up, and you've got a situation where someone turns up 6 hours late. Like, I mean, if you're in a job, you'd be fired. Like,
that's a good point. Like, again, I understand personal issues, and obviously, you know, we can't say so. Don't know what the personal issues were. They could have been something tragic, you know. So I don't want to say anything too bad. But like, on the other hand, you know, unless it was something super tragic, if anything else was going on in my life, and I was in a group of, you know, I was in her situation where other people, like, you know, this is the most important, you know, time of all their lives. Like, you have 3 other people who are relying on you. You have to put your shit to one side if you possibly can. To you know, for the benefit of your teammates, because it's unfair on them. Like, it's not it's not, it has to not be selfish, you know. Again, I obviously I don't mean, you know, I don't know what her situation was. I'm not saying that was 100% the case, but if it was like something that she could have potentially put to one side, like, you know, it was a breakup or something that was difficult, like you have to, for your teammates, like you still show up to auditions even if you're in a shit mood, or if one of your parents is ill or something, you know, so even something really, really bad, you know. So obviously see your parent when you can or whatever, but you know, still show up to the auditions at least. And I know, I don't know the situation, so I could be being too harsh, but she didn't really go into it, so it's hard to really know what happened.
Yeah, I guess that is the difficult thing. Like we don't know, but I think you're right. I mean, for example, I think it was more for me the way she spoke about it, because I was like, you know, if you're having these problems, I do feel for you. You know, like that can't be easy. Like, a competition is stressful enough, never mind a televised one, never mind having all these personal issues. But just for me, the way she like bit back at people was very,
but that's it. You know what, I think that's why I don't like think it was anything that serious, because like if it was actually a really difficult time for her, like you would be like all upset, like you'd be like a bit emotional talking about it, you'd probably be really apologetic. But the fact that she was so defensive and blamed everyone else and like quite blasé about the situation, I had personal problems, you're all shit, like that to me rings untrue, at least like to the extent that it could, you know, that she was making it out to be potentially. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, like if it was something really, really serious, and you would, I think she would have acted differently. But that's again, that's just this whole thing is obviously our opinions. I'm not saying that verbatim that's what happened, or you know, she could but just as a viewer, like that's, I guess, why I had that reaction I had, I guess, to it.
Yeah, no, same here. I think it was that for me. It was all about that reaction. It was the kind of the way that there was no kind of look. I had, I mean, not to say there's a correct way to do things. Obviously, people process pain and horrible situations in different ways. But I just kind of felt like there was a sense from Kendra of like, oh well, I went out in this challenge and lost because of all of you, because you're unfair and you don't understand that I have issues. I was having issues and whatever. Rather than, hey, look, can you cut me a break here? Like, is that the phrase? Can you give me a break? I felt like, I don't know, it just felt that it was, like you said, very defensive, and I was a bit confused by all of that. Anyway.
Yeah, cool. No, it's cool. I'm glad I forced you to agree with me. We're running out of time a little bit. We really need to talk about Monique and what was going on there, because I didn't have time to rewind it for this one, but like, what did they didn't say what happened to it. They said it was like a really serious thing they talked about for about 5-10 minutes, and I don't have any idea what it was about.
So I think that was intentional that they didn't reference it, because they knew that many people watching would know, but also there'd be a decent amount of people who wouldn't know, and they didn't necessarily want to stir up that pot again, and especially if there's potentially legal ramifications.
But I suppose from a production standpoint, like, that's not great. Like, you should at least give a hint as to what you're talking about, because for people who don't know what it is, like myself, like I was just sitting there for 10 minutes, like, what?
So
and I think would have been the boat I was in, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, what I'd assume it's about is the racist things that were said by Maniki towards Soju, where there were just basically lots of anti-Asian racist slurs being used against her on a social media page, I believe a Facebook page. Once with Maniki's non-drag page, and perhaps I think with another page that was in drag. I can't remember. Either way, yeah, there was that kind of shit going on, and from the bits I've gleaned here and there, I mean, it looks pretty messy, and it's interesting to see Maniki say that she'd spoken to the person who I'm assuming is Soju in all of this, and kind of had talked it out. I guess, I mean, I know Soju has posted some videos where she's alluded to it and whatever. But yeah, I think that was, I mean, I agree with you on from a production point of view, that does seem kind of strange that, yeah, for example, for you, I mean, I only know this because I love reading comment threads, because I just love that shit apparently. And I have too much time on my hands. And, but actually, if the series itself doesn't come with that information at all. At no point is it mentioned in any other way. So yeah, I think you're right to be a bit, skeptical.
But that's why I wanted to chat about it. So thanks for clearing it up for me. So that now makes sense to me. But what do you say again? Like, it's hard for me to really comment on the whole situation, so I was just trying to figure out what was going on. So, but what did you think of her answer to it all? And I think it's interesting what one of the Boulet brothers said as well about when she was putting herself down and stuff. So like now, because you knew what was going on whilst that was happening, what did you think of what she was saying? And
I found it quite weird. I wasn't quite sure how to take it, because to some level I thought the way the Boulets were talking about it, in terms of, you sometimes need people to help educate you about certain things, or to at least kind of have some patience with you during those things. I can see that to some degree, but also I do feel like when you're literally using anti-Asian racist slurs publicly as well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's public or private, but in some ways the public element is a bit strange here, is I don't know, I don't feel like it's as easy to just very not flippantly, but to very casually say, oh, we've spoken, we're cool, and oh, okay, well, I'm so glad that I've learned this now. I'm not being funny, but I mean, do you really have to have someone hand-holding you to know that that's not okay?
Yeah, I mean, she's not a child.
Right. Publicly as well, like, you clearly know that other people are going to be able to see this.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the difference is, again, I suppose it's an excuse, but she's not like, I was going to say you or I, but that's not necessarily a good example. Like, in her rational mind, to me, I think she's just like, an alcoholic, or, a bit of a druggie, or whatever it is. I just don't think she's fully with it. And I think that's probably why she went on rants with the things she did. She seems very defensive generally. Like people who have issues, such as the issues that she potentially has, aren't usually defensive and nasty people in a lot of ways. I think it's pretty born more from that sort of place. But again, I'm not saying that necessarily excuses it. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, absolutely. I did wonder if there was some kind of self-destructive behavior at play, in the sense that you occasionally get the sense with me. I mean, I'm no expert on this at all. And again, I don't want to excuse her racism, because it was terrible and it still is. And, you know, she needs a bit more than just, you know, it's not as easy as just kind of, oh, okay, all is forgiven. I've spoken to this person. They're fine with it. I think, you know, I mean, again, this sounds so cliche, but I feel like there's a lot of healing and a lot of care that Miniki needs to take with herself, perhaps. I mean, this is me basing it on a couple of Reddit threads and a couple of episodes of Dragula, but you do get the sense that there's something perhaps else going on that's not particularly comfortable, or you know, it's not in a very good place, perhaps. So, I mean, I do hope that she gets the help that she might need.
Yeah, no, so do I. I second that. I think I think I've said it previously, but like her looks are the most unsettling looks for me out of any of the queens. I think that's super cool. And that reminds me, because one of the Boulet, I always say one of the Boulet brothers. I don't know, you know, which is which and all that sort of stuff. It always sounds weird to me. But they said that, you know, they tried to look into the contestants' past, but they can't know everything about the contestants. And I guess I don't know whether he was referring to previous racist behaviour. I doubt it was that. I think probably in terms of, like, you know, alcohol or drug abuse. And I don't think it's responsible to, you know, get someone on a TV show who has issues with substance abuse. And I don't know, surely there's got to be psych tests, even though it's just a YouTube show. I'd assume there'd be some sort of psych tests or whatever that would be run beforehand. It just seems strange to me that someone who is, you know, again, it's difficult. You can't say like verbatim, but she does, like, I'm fairly sure she's got some sort of substance abuse issue, at least maybe not to a massive level, but to a level that needs to be sorted out. But she was like, it seems very irresponsible that she was on the show in the first place in her current sort of mentality.
Yeah, and I guess it must be quite strange for production teams, because you never quite know until someone's on there how well they'll deal with some of that pressure. Because I guess for a lot of these people, they might have the kind of support mechanisms around them in their local, the local areas they're performing in, for example. So they might be a little bit drunk on stage, but have someone who very much knows how drunk they are, can kind of monitor it, is there with them, for example. And I guess being on a show like this, you're suddenly thrust into a severe competition with a lot of people who are very hungry for that title and that throne, and for each challenge win. And I guess that must be a ridiculous amount of pressure. So I do wonder how much that plays into parts of it. That actually there's only so far that potentially a psych test could go.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
On a linked point, sorry, this is going slightly off tangent for Miniki, if that's okay. But I was a bit skeptical when the Boulet said, like, oh, we didn't know what questions the people doing the lie detector tests would ask. I'm like, so the lie detector test people randomly decided to bring up incest and bring up.
That's a very good point. Or maybe it's a production company, isn't it? It's probably a production company. Yeah. I
guess it must be, but it just
it seems sloppy. I know what you mean. It does seem sloppy.
It's like, sure, Jan, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but no. Speaking of which, I thought it was fun that they finally broached the topic with James and the whole incest thing. Even though I'd read enough about it online again to kind of have already heard basically what James ended up saying anyway. But it was still fun to hear that actually as part of the main bulk of the show.
Yeah, I agree. I think I watched a couple of their transformations with James and James. I'd seen them previously, but before knowing who they were. So I watched them again. I think from what I can remember, I said it was a few weeks ago, James talked to James Majesty about that in that episode. He sort of cleared it up there as well. So it wasn't new information for me. But again, I agree. I think it was good that it was brought up in the main show.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of it was weird because apart from a couple of arguments, it was kind of a lot of it was quite a strange episode. But then I guess reunions always are. I did feel a bit bad for some of the obviously it's the case with anyone who goes out fairly early in a show, But I did wonder for people like Felony, who had to kind of sit there when they're like, oh my God, so look at all these crazy locations we took everyone on. And Felony's probably sat there like, that looks great. I'm really glad that you guys went to that Wildlands. No, what was it called?
I don't remember, but I know what you're saying. But I like the question I asked her though. Like, it was shit being chucked off first, wasn't it? Don't you agree? She's like, yeah, it was. Thanks. I like that.
I like that they acknowledged that in some ways at least. So so Felony wasn't just sat there being like,
no, I agree. So I'm very conscious that we're running out of time, right?
No worries. Well, I think we're kind of near. Oh, okay. So I wanted to just do one quick thing. Sorry, if that's okay. Which is, I love that. You know, in RuPaul's Drag Race, you have that kind of rattlesnake sound every time there's like a shady thing. Yeah. I love that this seemed to be replaced in this with like a knife sound or like some kind of like metal scraping sound. Yeah. It was really fun because it's just like someone would say something like, and it was just like, I just loved it. I thought it was a really cheesy, really corny way of approaching that.
But like that sort of stuff does help differentiate it from Drag Race more so, right? Like it uses the same sort of tropes, but in a completely different way that makes it gives the whole thing a different vibe, which is really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. I just thought it was just really, it adds to that kind of camp sensibility that Dragula has, which is something I absolutely adore, because I think, although obviously RuPaul's Drag Race is very camp in many ways, it's also a very polished kind of camp in a lot of senses. And obviously they have some challenges and some mini challenges that are kind of purposely subverting that, but that's something different. And I just love that Dragula is full on like, okay, so we're going to have like this really beautifully presented chase scene, and we're going to have really weird cutoffs, and like we're going to have these really strange things happening at certain times that are kind of slightly off kilter, and I love that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Sorry, because we're running out of time. There's a point where the Boulay brothers said, "Oh, now's your chance to ask anyone a question, whatever you want to ask." And the only question, only Erica Clash asked a question during that portion, which I thought was really strange.
Yeah, I did think that was weird. I think they were very conscious at that point, probably, that everyone was like probably just going to start going back into old territory, because I did get the feeling that it was bringing up all of the same things again and again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I see why, but it just seemed pointless making it segmenting. So they said, like, now it's your time to ask each other questions, and the only question.
And no, it isn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. What did you think of people being people's responses to who they thought would win?
I was a bit surprised because no one really said James. Because I thought she was one of the strongest competitors, and also like based on what the queens were saying in their confessionals, that they're all like, "Oh, we thought James was a bitch, but now we really like her." I sort of thought she'd have more support. She's such a strong character in terms of personality and in terms of looks, really.
Yeah,
I thought she'd have more support. I'm not saying I'm disappointed because I'm not necessarily championing her. I think I think I'm in Bitch's team, but like I was just a bit surprised that it wasn't more evenly spread, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised that Bitch got the most love. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think, it definitely surprised me a lot. I definitely thought that you'd get, basically, I think I expected that Victoria's and James's would be switched. In the sense that I feel like I imagined before the episode that a lot of people would say, James or Bitch. Or they would say, maybe James or Bitch would always be one of the two. And so it surprised me that in a few of them, people were like, yep, Bitch or Victoria. And Victoria, don't get me wrong, she's great. But I was surprised, like you were saying, that there wasn't as much upfront love for James. And I think what I thought was interesting is a lot of people who didn't choose James were very what's the word? Were very overt in the way they didn't choose James.
Yeah, I agree.
So
exactly.
Instead of saying, for example, like, "Oh, like Bitch, I love you," Victoria, I also think you're great. There was a lot of like, "Oh, it's got to be between Victoria or Bitch. You're both bringing new things." It was this really like over effusive praise, and then just like, "Oh yeah, so James, you're a bitch." Like it was a bit strange for me. Especially, I think Kendra's one was just like, "Love you, but you've got a big head and you don't deserve to win. Okay, bye." And it was like, "Hang on, sorry, what?" Like that was an
but that's typical Kendra. Like Kendra is like,
you're right. But I just thought it seemed that the mood in the room was that James shouldn't win from those queens. And as a result, they were all very conscious that they shouldn't say too much that was positive about James. Many of them.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I wonder again, I feel like, you know, I don't feel like there would have been anything with James that happened off camera because he is so vocal. I feel like he would have said it on camera. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems I can't really figure out why they seemed so behind him in the confessionals, and they'd seem so sort of not anti, but I don't know. Like the attitude sort of surprised me quite a lot. I guess. I
Yeah.
can't figure out why.
Yeah, no, same. And do you reckon it will have any bearing on the final result? Like, do you reckon that will either galvanize the Boulet brothers behind someone like Bitch, or do you reckon that will almost mean that they do choose someone like James as a kind of fuck you?
The first one, I think it galvanized them behind Bitch.
Mm.
So I don't know. I feel like as well. I think the audience would be influenced by what the other queens were saying, because again, it was pretty unanimous. So
Yeah, that's very true. And that's what I thought was actually really nice. Is like, I don't think Bitch expected to get that kind of love, which was kind of cute. Like, just kind of Bitch being like, because I think Erica, it was something that Erica said that really set Bitch off, I think. And
yeah,
I just kind of loved watching that. I think it's quite tender.
Bitch is like super nice. Like, I'd be really happy for her to win. Like, she's not been my, you know, I was championing Bora the whole way through, and it's still a Bora for president, 100%. But I would love Bitch to win because she deserves it. Like, you know, she's put so much effort. She's listened to critiques. She's changed. She went through shit. She's grown because of it. She hasn't taken it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This is what I was going to ask anyway. But yeah, so I'm team Bitch for the win. But I do still like the other two. I'm like not like for like team Bitch or death. I'm just, but she's his camp. I'm in. What would you say?
Yeah, I'm basically the same. I would very much like Bitch to win. I wouldn't be upset if the other two won. I think it would be a really interesting turn of events if someone like Victoria won, just because Victoria's kind of been like, in the challenges that she's done well on, she's always been behind someone else, pretty much, apart from early on when she did win 1 or 2. So it's kind of interesting because just even looking at the stats, you know, James has won. I was looking at this earlier. James has won 3, I believe, including the Mad Max one most recently, but has been in the bottom, the extermination set twice. Bitch has only been up for extermination once, but has only won twice. Victoria has maybe been up for it once or twice, and has also. And I think she only won once, right near the beginning. So it's an interesting one. It's kind of open in that sense, but like in some ways, Bitch has been more consistent and has shown more growth. In some ways, James has had more moments of brilliance, but perhaps more moments of being not so brilliant.
So I disagree with that. I would say James had moments of brilliance and moments. I think he's been consistent. I think he's always been polished, interesting.
Yeah. That's true, because one of James's moments of being in the bottom was actually just because of the fan, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, of course, exactly. I think that was one of my favorite looks of all of Dragula, or maybe one of my favorite drag looks. Absolutely love that look. I think if you just lined up everyone's looks, like if you had a list of like this was a challenge for this week, and these are the looks of the 3 people in the final, for me it would be James. Like just based on that and nothing else, it'd be James would be the victor for me.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what should be interesting about next week, because it could be a total shake-up where as soon as you get to performance, James might be, I mean, James is probably going to be good because, you know, even James on a bad day is pretty great. And it's going to be really interesting to see what Bitch could bring to that performance-wise, or Victoria, even Victoria could surprise everyone.
You know what? There are certain things I need from each of the 3 girls to make them the victor for me. I need James to just, I guess, keep up the level of polish, and then like personality wise be more humble, I guess. Bitch, I need her to continue to keep stepping up. I feel like she stepped it up gradually throughout the whole competition. If she's plateaued and doesn't step it up for the last episode, then that might not be enough for me. And Victoria, I need her to show her personality more last episode for her to deserve winning for me. I feel like there's 3 like a quality of each of the girls that I need to see to solidify them as my personal victor.
I totally agree. And I think for me, with both Victoria and Bitch especially, I really want to see a very strong horror kind of look, because I feel like Bitch has been very good at some things that have been very kind of creepy. The same for Victoria. Like, was it Victoria who had the really cool alien that time?
No, that was... Oh shit! Oh yeah, it was Victoria, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Victoria also had that tarot card, the fortune teller stand,
Yeah, she's had a
which I thought
couple
was
of
incredible.
amazing.
And I just basically want to see Victoria come in with like 2 or hopefully 3 incredibly like twisted, dark, beautifully done, very look. Yeah,
I think filth, right? I think filth for Victoria would be the most interesting category. Whereas bitch has got filth. I want like horror beauty from bitch, for example, but like stepped up.
Exactly. And that's the thing; it needs to be so stepped up for all of them. James, I think James, like you said, could carry on operating on that level and probably be okay because James is operating at a very good level. But it would be really fun to see someone. Yeah, it would be really fun for me to see like bitch just absolutely go balls to the wall, like this, like no holds barred, really out there kind of look that just kills.
Yeah,
and because I don't think bitch has necessarily been safe, but I think like there's a little bit more pushing that bitch could do that would really send it into the next level, kind of like Melissa did last year, where Melissa just came out in the end with this like ridiculously.
But that's what I mean, though. But I expect that from James. I expect something extreme. But what I don't expect is her to be super humble and sweet. So I mean, that's what I need from her. So I know she'll kill the looks, but I need her like personality wise or like attitude wise. So not personality, attitude wise, to give me what I need.
I totally agree. And that's so it's going to be an interesting one. I would really love it. Victoria just like steps it up and just kind of goes.
Yeah, same.
Same.
Like, I think she's got it in her. I think she's got it in her. I just think she's been too reserved so far. I need to see.
Yeah, because some of Victoria's earlier looks, when like she was just like going for it, and it was just like, because really early on I pegged Victoria and Dali for those reasons as 2 of my favorites, because I just thought what they were doing was just far more interesting and
Agreed.
And so I kind of want to see the return of that, really. And I think someone commented on it quite well when Victoria did this whole thing about like, oh, my personality's coming through, it's ready, it's knocking on the door. It's like, it kind of should have been happening a few weeks ago, really.
Yeah,
in terms of competition. But if you can pull it out in the final, then even if you don't win, like at least this is going to do wonders for people's perception of you as a queen. And
it's interesting because like, I was just thinking like Pearl, for example, like I think you can have queens who are super chill, relaxed, laid back, but Pearl's personality still shone for me throughout the competition. Like it's strange. I think you can be. I don't think it is just Victoria I don't think it is just that Victoria is laid back and chill. I do think there's something preventing her from letting her personality through, sort of thing. Does that make sense? I don't think I'm explaining it very well.
No, I got that feeling. There was, for me, always, I was kind of like, you're holding back, but why? Because we know that you can do this. We've seen it. But then there's something kind of like, there was a point in the competition where like Victoria just seemed to just like plateau a little bit. And you're like, no, you've got more. I'm sure
exactly. What I was just thinking as well is I feel like All Stars for Dragula will be better than Drag Race because so many of the queens, like I think people go towards horror drag and more screwed up potentially. But like imagine like an All Stars where say like Monique in like a few years time where Monique's like sorted herself out and she's on top of the game, she's like super cool, and like Victoria's like out of her shell, like really versatile and all this sort of stuff. Like I think there could be so much cool stuff. Like I think All Stars of Dragula could be amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And can you imagine like that? Like having having stepped it up in the competition itself, then coming back and stepping up again. Some of those queens, like they would probably have nothing to lose and they would just go for it. Like it would really be fun to see Abora come back more in the game. To see kind of like that, like kind of craziness mixed with some of the other queens who just have these really out there looks. And again, like you said with Monique, like if she's sorted herself out and is in kind of in game mode, then I mean, God, like she'd be incredible.
Yeah, totally agree. Right, so you need to head off, don't you? And I've got
I do
to do as well. But yeah, so do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
I mean, we were saying this briefly earlier, but I think it was just such a nice relief. I mean, obviously it's been a couple of weeks since the last one, and it was just so nice after the kind of what we kind of felt was a bit bloated the episode before to have this very fun episode where there's a lot to talk about, where there's a lot going on, and where it becomes even less sure really who's going to win. And I thought that was quite a nice reunion episode because they can feel like filler, and this didn't.
Totally. That's a good point. That's a really good point to make. Oh, thanks, Quinn. Says great stream. Cheers. We tried our best.
Yeah, thank you.
I was also thinking as well earlier on that, like, I keep saying people to like, comment, and subscribe, which is because it's a diva quote from Overwatch mainly. But I'm like, that's a bit of a dickish thing to do. Like it if you want to like it. Give it a thumbs down if you want to give it a thumbs down. Don't subscribe if you've got better things to do with your life, you know? You do you, boo.
It's just kind of like reverse psychology.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. But if you do, you hurt. If you don't do, you hurt my
I just don't even really care. Like, just am I even making a video right now? I mean, I just
exactly. Sure. That's it. This is just my personal stream. Cool. Right. So that's it, isn't it, Bob?
I believe so.
Cool. Okay. Thanks for joining me. We'll do a stream for the final, of course. What we should try and do is set it up earlier next time so that people can actually get involved. Although thank you for the people who have got involved. But like always, we continue the conversation in the comments down below. If you fancy it, and join us next week for the finale. It'll be fun potentially. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I think I started to almost forget about Dragula a little bit over the holiday, and it's really nice that actually this is a really strong way of bringing it, you know, of setting ourselves up now for the final. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Right. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you later. Have a nice day, evening, whatever. Bye bye.
Thank you.